Ready to woo-woo? Yes, good. I don't have my chakras aligned or candles or a robe on, but the good news is this stuff is applicable even if you're not really down for all that things. We got Kirsten, Elaine is here. Steve, representing, I like the backdrop. Terry, Pauline, Diane, Jose, Alana, Donna, Jackie, and her iPhone again. Jason. Okay, good stuff, good crew. Drop a win in the chat or something you might benefit from this kind of discussion. That will probably come up as we go through it. Calvert Fitness robes. I like that, Steve. I think you're onto something there. Much more popular than the hats for sure. Good stuff. All right, so I do have a short presentation to go through as my webcam drops off. We're still in business. Okay, good. So I'll share that now. Please use the chat as you go through. It's a good win, Kirsten. Sleep is truly the foundation of everything. So that is a must for everything else to fall into place. Absolutely. Okay, presenting mode. There it is. Okay, good. Everyone can see that. Thumbs away. Perfect. Okay, so some of this might be new information, maybe not, but repetition is really the secret to all this anyway. So we're going to try to upgrade your inner software to stop that sneaky self-sabotage that happens to the best of us. Nice, Steve, I like it. So the operating system of your mind can either propel you forward or keep you stuck in these cycles of self-sabotage. This can certainly apply to anything, but we're going to stick to that fitness theme today. So a good quote that Gavin, our mindset mentor, who's on break right now, he shared this with me first, was until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. Oh, nothing good happens to me. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So this information is not necessarily new to you, nor do you need a new secret formula. You guys probably know what to do from a fitness perspective: eat better, exercise more. But why is there a disconnect between? We're going to get into that mindset piece. Okay. So why repetition matters? Just like in the gym, your biceps don't grow from one-off workouts with 3 months in between. Repeated stimulus is the secret. It goes for your neural pathways as well. Okay. So mindset work is a practice. Keep that in mind. Even if you learn things today, we want you implementing them consistently over time, just like your macros and your workouts. Okay. Go into the gym for your mind. You need to go consistently. Okay. So keep that in mind. So this brief summary, just to give you context: decision making first is our identity. Who we believe you are at your core determines ultimately your beliefs and your emotions and your actions. I'll give an example of this in a second, but the quote, funny but true, is we're all indoctrinated into the cult of our parents, their belief systems, their viewpoints on whether or not they're big boned or healthy, financially, whether or not money comes easy or hard to them. All these things are really implanted in you as a child, and you still carry them to this day. So not easy to rewire, but it's, from my perspective as a fitness coach, we're trying to install a new identity in you, that workouts are just things you do because your identity is that of a fitness person. Once you establish that shift, the plan works better, the results stick for life, and that's what we're after. Okay, so identity, beliefs, positive emotions, positive actions. Because a lot of the beliefs that you're carrying to this day, whether you know it or not, were installed many years ago. It might have been, you have to clean your plate, you can't leave the table, there's starving kids in Africa. We all know that we're not going to ship off half-eaten kids' food. It's not going to help, but we don't want to waste food. Dessert might be a sin. You might eat your feelings. You might have messages from parents or siblings or whatever that, oh, don't get fat, don't eat that. You're big boned. That was one I bought into for a long time. Or you don't have willpower. That's just how our family is. We're all meant to be out of shape, whatever the case may be. Okay. And then lastly is the belief messages. Like, oh, don't get your hopes up. Temper your expectations. Parents trying to keep us safe when really we should be trying to empower people to be almost delusional about themselves. You're not athletic. Change is impossible for me. I never stick to it. Whatever that operating system is, it's running on outdated software. So we need to upgrade your operating system. So this is how the cycle of action kind of happens. Is the event occurs, and I'll give an example of this, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Okay. So then the belief forms. Maybe it's skipping a workout, then you skip multiple weeks and you fall into that trap of not being consistent again. So, oh, I'm a person that can never be consistent. And then obviously that creates bad vibes and negative emotions arise. And we all know what gets created in negative emotional states, more bad decisions, more inaction. And then that action is the inaction, not going to the gym. Because every time you choose the couch over the gym, you're voting for the identity of someone who doesn't work out. Sometimes the couch is a perfectly reasonable choice. You're burnt out, you had a long week. But we want to get in the habit more often of choosing, okay, I have my workout schedule, I'm going to do it. So I'm someone who takes care of themselves. Whatever you have to phrase it as, that's the idea. Just every vote, every action is a step in creating this new belief system. Hopefully I'm not losing you guys. Type of 1 in the chat. This is making sense so far. Good, good. I just saw that new skill. Whoa, nice. Beautiful. Golden. All right. Moving on. So if you've been on one of these calls before, we often talk about this 4 belief breaking questions tool. And we're going to revisit that now because repetition is the key to making these things stick. I know for me, the last little while, I've been getting into a kind of a scarcity mindset, kids' activities, money going out the door, left, right, and center. I had to buy a new car. And I had to kind of revisit this stuff because I was starting to fall into old patterns about duct taping cars together. My dad used to do. All right. So what actually happens? Stick to the facts. No story, no interpretations. We'll get into an example here. Then what did I make that mean internally? What belief does that come from? That's ingrained in me that I'm almost unaware of. And what's a more helpful way of looking at this situation? Okay. So an example. I see this every Monday in my messages. Oh my God, I weighed myself. I'm 3 pounds up from Friday. You know, I ate out twice, had a few too many drinks over the weekend. What did I make that mean? I'm speaking in third person here. I've ruined my progress. I'm bad at sticking to my goals. My weight's back at square one. I'm a failure, blah, 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 blah. When really it was just a little water fluctuation. And if you had got back on the plan, you'd be back at square one shortly. But where does this belief come from? Well, we think that progress is linear in either direction. You know, that any deviation means failure. And then we tie our self-worth to the scale or our progress, for better or worse, to the scale. And then that's that deep-seated belief that, oh, you know what, I can't stay consistent on weekends. Might as well quit. So the more helpful truth here is, it's going to pop up weird. Weight fluctuates daily due to many factors. You guys hopefully understand this. We have a whole checklist we send to people when they start to talk about this. Water retention, maybe your sleep was poor on the weekend. Maybe you did eat more food, more carbs, you're holding more water. But a single weekend rarely erases weeks of effort. You'd have to be really going hard, okay? So you enjoyed that weekend. Maybe there was some special events, big deal. That's balance, that's sustainability. Can it happen every weekend? Probably not, but the big thing is you get back on track. Temporary fluctuation, not a permanent setback, right? So that's how you reframe using the 4 questions. Any questions on this, drop in the chat or feel free to share your own example because I think typing it out makes all the difference here. Okay. So I'm not going to stop and give you a bunch of time, but I would encourage you, if something comes to mind here of, oh, I was in a bad spot, bad belief was coming to the surface, let's workshop it with the 4 questions. All right. So ultimately what this leads to is identity-based change, which is what we talk about a lot, because in order to get the results you want, you have to become the person who's deserving of those results by default. So here's the 2 examples. 2 outcome-based thinking is, I wish I could lose 20 pounds. I want this, I want that, I want to run a marathon. Whereas identity-based thinking is, I'm someone who does take care of my body. So the 20 pounds will take care of itself. I'm an athlete in training. That's your thing. If you want to run a marathon, don't encourage it, but hey, everyone has their things. And lastly, I'm someone who nourishes myself with the right foods most of the time. So you may have seen this quote. I'll believe it when I see it. It should be flipped. I'll see it when I believe it. It all starts between the ears. Power of identity change. Okay. So your anchor statement can be anything, but I like somewhat generic, but I'm becoming a healthier version of myself. And then you'll look for evidence of that. Not, I wish I could lose 20 pounds yesterday. Doesn't work. Okay. So with that all said, we're almost getting to the end here, I promise. Triggers are teachers. So if something comes up, maybe it's at work, your boss has some extra hate for you that day for whatever reason, and the trigger is that, and then the response is maybe a donut out of the lunchroom, like trying to reframe that experience. Why did I reach out for that donut? What could I have done maybe instead? Okay. Because you will get triggered at times. You're human. None of us stay in these high emotional states throughout the day, but it's how you respond to those, how quickly you kind of get back to neutral. And we'll talk about how to do that shortly. All right. So I'm the least woo-woo type of guy, to be honest with you. I didn't really buy into a lot of this. The law of attraction, where you just kind of manifest your outcomes without doing any work. But that it is the foundation to get yourself in a place where your vibrational state matches the reality you want. And then your actions, that's the key, that your actions will actually follow suit to deliver that result for you. Okay. So if your current reality is like scarcity, frustration, nothing works for me, we need to kind of make that shift to where everything kind of comes easily to you. I trust my process. Yeah, there's work involved, but I know I'm going to get there eventually. Okay. That's a hard shift to make. So how do we do that? Well, it's kind of like a radio frequency. We want to be in a hopeful, grateful, loving, high vibrational state most of the time. What really happens though is we end up in neutral, where we're just kind of present, we're okay, we're patient. And every once in a while we'll dip too low, fear, frustration, something triggers us. And that happens. Don't expect to be top of this scale forever. But this is a good graphic that Gavin shared previously, right? The emotional guidance scale, I believe it's called, where if we get down in the dumps here with jealousy, rage, worry, Facebook comments triggering you, we definitely want to move our way up one step at a time. We'll show you how you do that. Okay. Because the more you're in a downward spiral, the more bad things tend to happen. Okay. So how do we do that? The daily vibe check is our tool. So quick 3-minute practice. If you're really in the dumps, everything bad has happened to this point in the day, give yourself a quick 3-minute reset. So name what you're feeling from that emotional wheel or scale, whether it's stressed, some sort of emotion you can tie to it. Maybe it's because you're overwhelmed by your to-do list or whatever the case may be. So where do you feel in your body? Now you just get present. Like, is it tight shoulders, knot in the stomach, pit in the stomach? Your throat's swallowing is becoming difficult. We want to at least bring awareness to that. And then what is this trying to teach me? Maybe it's saying prepare better next time. Like me, I could have gone through this slideshow a few more times, right? Frustration might be saying set boundaries. If your boss is calling you late at night, gently remind him that your work hours are 9 to 5, whatever the case may be. So the goal here, though, is the optional 4th step to reach for a slightly better feeling. If you're anxious and stressed, where can we get from there, right? Can we move up to slightly less frustrated? Can we be content? Okay, well, I'm just going to accept that I didn't prepare well for this, but I'll do the best I can. Try to go into it with a positive state of mind, or at least a neutral state of mind. And better things should come from there. Okay. So keep that in mind, the daily vibe check. If you want to print this, I think emotional guidance scale, I believe is the Google term I found for this visual. Sometimes it's helpful to name things and know if we're down in the dumps, there is a way out of it. One little step at a time. Okay. So in the early going, Gavin suggests like having a phone reminder like multiple times throughout the day because you wouldn't even be really aware that you're in this negative state unless you bring attention to it. Not that it has to be a daily thing for the rest of your lives, but like I said, repetition helps. Okay. At the end of the day, we're not trying to be like 100% better. It's like we have 35,000 decisions to make every day. If we do reach for a better thought 1% of the time, that's potentially 350 better mindset, better choices, better decisions. And that obviously has a big compound effect. Okay. Like we always talk about, consistency compounds and everything with your mindset as much as your fitness. It really does help. And over time, that 1% can get, to a massive change. All right. So lastly, getting to the action steps, and I'll talk about an example here, but we want you to bust one belief that's not serving you, that probably is a theme that comes up every day. And we want to use that 4 questions tool at least for a week straight. Keep it front in mind wherever you have to go through that exercise. Try to rewire those beliefs. And then the big key is like your actions, right? So tracking your evidence daily. And we'll get into an example here in a second. Use the vibe check if needed, multiple times throughout the day. And then potentially partner, even with me if you want, who will help you kind of stay conscious of this when you slip into old patterns, because you will. All right, so lots of things to consider there. Here's one example. Old limiting belief is I always start strong, but I'll never be consistent. I just don't have what it takes. And now the new belief is I'm building consistency with each small win. Again, like I talked about, every choice is a vote for my new identity. And then we have that short daily list of daily evidence. I walked for 50 minutes today. I logged my food. I said no to the extra beer. I went to bed on time. I did my vibe check 3 times. So like having these positive reinforcements that you are creating this new belief through your actions. All right. And it's a bit woo-woo, but the better it gets, the better it gets. So the more you're in a good flow state, positive frame of mind, and you're looking for evidence of the good, expect to feel good, expect better outcomes, expect to rewrite, the old scripts or beliefs that were instilled in you years and years ago. And then you're just voting daily for your next version. All right. I even put an emoji in this page because you got this. All right, open the floor to questions on this topic. I know it can get a bit in the weeds, but repetition is key. Just responding to a private question here. Elaine says, sweat a cold and rest the flu. What are your thoughts on that? I always say, and this is based off science, not my suggestion, but like anything from the neck down, probably best to avoid working through that. If it's just a head cold, a little sweat will do you good. So I don't think he's wrong in that. Sometimes it's a chest cold though, that might fall into the flu category there, where you'll start coughing. You may even set yourself back on recovery if you're working out too much. Okay. Chat is huge. All right, open floor. Did I lose you guys on this topic or was it helpful? Okay, good. Helpful indeed. I love it. Okay, what we can help you with? It can go beyond today's talk. Any specific questions? Hopefully weather holds for Saturday. I see a ton of rain in the forecast. I don't have a contingency plan, nor a rescheduled date because the next 2 weekends are booked. So hopefully weather cooperates for those attending that. Should be fun. If Mother Nature doesn't cooperate, well, this training will be helpful to help me deal with that. That's good, Terry. Daily evidence is the secret for sure. One choice at a time, and no one is 100% dialed in. It's just about being aware of what triggered you and resetting. Go ahead, Diane.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the whole idea of, in the past, and I never really thought of it until recently, is that, when you're growing up, it's sort of clean your plate. And I find that I'm trying to finish my meal in the evening and I'm full, but I keep on eating to finish the meal off the plate. So I've been trying to do half the meal and put the other half away. I don't know, for later or whatever. I don't know how else to get around it.
Yeah, I
I
think
just don't stop when I'm full, and that's the problem.
yeah, and that's, I think, who was that? Someone else said that. Sean, I think it was. It's starving child in Africa. Like her parents were adamant that you finish your plate. You're lucky to have a meal, so eat
Yeah.
it, right? And now as adults, we continue that philosophy when really it's excess after a certain point, especially if we're trying to reduce calories to lose weight.
Yeah.
So first off, I would portion out the appropriate amount because you're the one deciding what goes on your plate now.
Yeah.
And just having enough for what, fits your goals. That's the benefit of tracking, I find, is
Yeah.
it's a lot harder to overeat. You can always go for seconds, of course, but
Yeah.
at least good intentions wise.
Hey,
Just,
Mitch.
yeah, Kirsten.
I shared this with Shauna because she's on my challenge team. I use a smaller plate.
Hmm.
Yep.
It's just a simple, really super simple way to manage your portion. I mean, you measure it out anyway, but it's just that's an easy fix, or at least
Mhm.
that's what's been effective for me.
Good idea. Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And it feels like more too, because the plate's full.
Exactly. It looks like more, feels, you feel full
Mm.
and there's pretty much nothing on your plate.
Yeah, and we talked previously about eating too fast. Like that's, your hunger signals are behind pace. The chopsticks could be potentially one idea. Something that slows you down, at least at dinner. I know you're rushing through lunch and breakfast, everyone is, but I think that any way you can use to slow down your eating, be present at mealtime, not watching a stressful TV show, maybe with family talking, that's a lost art. The more that hunger signal will catch up.
Yeah.
Tia, you want to unmute yourself or you want to have me respond?
No,
Yeah.
I can. It's okay. I could keep typing, but that's a lot. But
Yeah, I
it's
know.
just
Kind of. Yeah, go for it.
that's a story there. But that's my biggest challenge is my husband has had the weight loss surgery, and I'm watching him, fill his plate at dinner time, lunchtime, or saying that he deserves an ice cream at Dairy Queen because it's been a rough day. And I'm like, no, we can't do that. So I feel like I'm the one pulling him back on track. And, I kind of feel good that I could sort of redirect our course, like, because I refuse to do weight loss. I refuse the Ozempic and all that stuff. Like, I know I can do this, but you got to stick with me, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, there's power in that.
Yeah,
Especially because you're around that person more than anyone else. You guys have
exactly.
to definitely be on the same page, and it can be
Yeah.
difficult if one is trying to steer you in the wrong direction. Like that's your environment, right? And that's
Yeah.
so you're being the source of better here, which is I'm proud of you for that.
And then
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to be a nag, but I feel like, no, this is better for the both of us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long-term play. It's delayed
Yeah.
gratification. Amen. Thanks for sharing. Love that.
Mitch, I got a
Jason.
question. Yeah, sorry, I might
Mm.
cut out. I'm up in God's country right now, so the cell phone reception is terrible.
Mm.
I am back on shift work, so I'm doing my 12-hour shifts. As far as eating goes, I work 11 to 11, so this is the hard part for me now, is trying to figure out somewhat regular intervals of eating. And of course, with my job, I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to eat even because it depends what's going on and how many calls we have. So what recommendations do you have for that?
Yeah, it's kind of the worker mindset where I still try to defer to hunger cues. And you might be a little thrown off if the routine's new for you, but like when do you get hungry, trying to match that to your meal timing. Because if you let it go too long, you get ravenous, you make poor choices when the hunger level is a 10 out of 10. So I guess it kind of depends on your breaks. And if you don't get breaks, having some plan B protein options at the ready. We always talk about that for people like yourself that are on the go to fill the gaps until you actually get to sit down and have a meal. But yeah, I would try to defer to your hunger cues. What works best for you? I always used to try to force breakfast right away, and that wasn't aligned with how I prefer or how my system prefers it. It's a couple hours delay and then breakfast always works better for me. So now I've got kind of into a system where I naturally get hungry at certain points, and I try to match my meal timing to that. And then having that cut off, not too close to bedtime, so you sleep
Yeah.
better. Donna?
Yep. One thing that I do when I'm out on an extra day, like I'm working at Barkfest this weekend, I'm going to be there from noon to 5 both days. I pack a bag with me and I bring a protein drink, maybe a bar or two, some nuts, and so I don't have to get the food wagon. And I try and avoid that real fast. Yeah. The other thing that I do, and then I don't know if anybody else has ever heard of this, right after dinner, I'm done eating, brush my teeth.
Mm-hmm.
That was just an old one, but then that keeps me from snacking into the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a brilliant one. We've recommended that before. You
Mhm.
kind of close the kitchen, brush your teeth. Oh, I'm not going to waste a
Exactly.
good clean toothbrush or whatever to
Yep.
eat again.
Yep.
Yeah. Once you're done your calories for the day, that's a good hack for sure. Both those tips are good. Having snacks at the ready, it's going to be cheaper than any food on the fly out and about, and obviously way better aligned with your cap goals as well. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing.
I was gonna say get Invisalign because it's a real pain in the butt to keep taking out the trays and putting them back in and brushing your teeth. I'm
There
on
you go.
that, I'm on that path.
Diet hack. Get Invisalign. I love it. Nice. It all makes a difference. Good stuff. Okay. Well, we're at just about at 12:30. Anyone else have any final questions, comments? We'll definitely get this replay out because it's one of those things where, well, the information is good. It's one thing, but to actually put it into practice is really the key and how you slowly make these changes. So I would encourage you to try the 4 belief breaking questions anytime something continues to sabotage your plan or best laid plans, and then the vibe check. If you find you tend to get into these negative emotional states triggered by other people or other things that you have no control over, it's a good way to get you back into a good place. So those 2 tools would probably be the biggest takeaways. All right. Yeah, I would listen to your hunger cues. Kind of set your meal plan on a schedule that works best for you. No need to force a meal if you're not hungry, but don't let it go too far like a lot of people do, where they fast and then break the seal at dinner time and then can't stop themselves at that point, because that's just biology at work. You starve yourself all day, then have dinner, break the seal, your body's starving, you're going to go into all the wrong foods and the pantry and all that stuff. So we don't want that. All righty. Good call, guys. Good engagement. We'll talk soon. Hopefully see some of you on Saturday, God willing.